Okay, to get you folks back in the swing of things, we're going to do an easy little assignment where we're just solving equations for the x variable, finding what the x. So I have some number x that when I subtract 4, it takes me to negative 11. Okay, so really, you just follow these procedures. Now, one thing, make sure all your letters have numbers attached to the front. So this x, just connect a 1 to the front. It's real easy. Then another thing I didn't have you do a lot last year, you're going to have to do this year. All minuses should be switched to plus negative. So you see between this 1x and the 4, there's a minus. Switch it to plus negative. Okay. And then on the other side is the 11. Well, since the 11's the first thing, that negative's fine. Okay. It's when I have a subtraction between two numbers that I'm going to want to switch plus negative. So that's pretty easy. No parentheses allowed. That's not an issue here. Okay, you can only have a solo x, which I do, so that's good. I don't need to care. I don't care about this unless I have more than one x. Now dot your x term and circle it. So 1 dot x, so that means 1 times x. And then undo anything outside the circle by adding or subtracting. So outside the circle we have this plus negative 4. So I need to eliminate that negative 4, and I'm going to add 4 because it's negative. Okay, if it would have been positive 4, I would have subtracted. So that gets rid of that, but then I need to add 4 on the other side under the 11. Okay, so I have 1 dot x, then the equals negative 11 plus 4. You can use your calculator on that. That's negative 7. And then you can divide, but if you have 1 as your dot number, you really don't need to. You have your answer. Okay. Next problem, we have negative 3x equals 60. So all letters need numbers attached to the front. The x has a negative 3 attached to the front, so we're good with that. All minuses should be switched to plus negative. Well, I don't have any minuses because there's only two numbers in the problem, the negative 3 and the 60, and they are on opposite sides. So again, there'd be no minuses. Negative 3x equals 60. I never said the word minus, okay? No parentheses allowed. That's not a problem. You can only have a solo x. We do. Dot your x term and circle it. And undo anything outside the circle by adding or subtracting. Well, I don't really have anything outside the circle. Now that 60 is on the other side of the equation, so I don't care about that. So there's nothing being added outside the circle, so I can go ahead and skip that step. And then I just divide. Okay, so we need to divide both sides by the dotted number because that's the number we're trying to unmultiply. So we divide by negative 3 and those cancel, and then divide the 60 by negative 3. And that gives me negative 20. So I have x, I have the equals, and then I have negative 20. Okay, next problem. 7x minus 4 equals 24. That's what that says. Okay, all letters need a number in front that has an x, and was there any minuses in that? 7x minus 24. Okay, so there is a minus right here, so make that plus, and then know that the 4 is negative now. Okay, no parentheses allowed. We don't have that. Okay, you can only have a solo x, and I do, 7x. Dot your x term and circle it, so I'd want to dot that 7x, circle it, and undo anything outside the circle by adding or subtracting. So we have this negative 4 that's being added. Well, it's a negative 4, so I need to add 4 in order to get rid of it. And then I add that to the other side of the equation. Again, you always, when you plus 4, if you're wondering where else you have to plus 4, you have to go to the other side of the, you have to cross to the other side of the equation and do it. So I have 7 dot x, and then that's gone. Then I have my equal sign, and then 24 plus 4 is 28. And then I divide both sides by the dotted number, the 7, because that's a number I'm trying to unmultiply from the x. So that's x, and the opposite of multiply is to divide. 28 divided by 7 is 4. Okay, my next problem, 12x minus 5 minus 3x equals 40. Okay, 12x minus 5 minus 3x equals 40. Okay, all letters need numbers attached to the front. So there's an x here that has a 12, and x here has a 3. It's about to be a negative 3, but that's fine. Now, any minuses? Well, 12x minus 5, so yeah, I need to switch that 5 to plus and then negative. And then negative 5 minus 3x, so we switch that to plus, negative, okay? And then no more minuses. So remember, those are now negative. Negative 5, negative 3x. Okay, no parentheses allowed. There aren't any. You can only have a solo x. Now, we have a problem with that this time because we have two x's. Well, I can only have one solo x if I hope to solve the equation. So I need to deal with this step then. Now, if they're on here's the equals. If they're on the same side, we're going to draw our adding pyramid, and it looks like they are on the same side. So just make your adding pyramid and write the word add. And all you have to do is on your calculator, if you need it, add 12 to negative 3x. Okay, 12 plus negative 3x on your calculator. I'll get a calculator, so it's 9x, but I'm just showing you how you would do it mechanically. 12 plus negative 3, 9. Okay. Okay, so when I draw that adding pyramid, I want to write 9x down and then cross the x's off. Okay. Now, before I write equals, I have to add the negative 5. And then equals 40. Okay. And now I'm on my way. Dot your x term and circle it. So dot the x, circle it. Undo anything outside the circle. There's a plus negative 5. We need to undo that. So it's negative 5, so we need to add 5 and add 5. So I have 9 dot x, and then the equal sign, and then 40 plus 5 is 45. Okay, and now we can divide. So divide by 9. Those cancel. Remember, you always want to divide by the number. A lot of people will put 45 down there. No, it's got to be by the number that's multiplied by the x, the dot number. Okay, and that's 5. Okay, the next one we have 3x minus 3, and then a parentheses, and then 6 minus 2x. Close the parentheses equals 27. Okay, now everybody can see what that is. Okay, make sure all your letters have numbers in the front. So I have an x here with a 3, and I have an x here with a 2. It's about to be a negative 2, but okay, let's see if we have any minuses. So between this 3 and 3, there's a minus. So we got to switch that to plus, negative. 3 and 6, there's nothing. 6 and 2, there's a minus. So plus, negative. And then I get to the equals. Okay, so we need negative 3 and negative 2 now. Okay, remember, no parentheses can be allowed. So what you need to do is draw a couple rainbows. So you have the outside of the parentheses, you have a negative 3. So you draw a rainbow from negative 3 to 6 and negative 3 to negative 2. Now I'm going to write, that means we're going to multiply. Okay, so I take negative 3 times 6 and negative 3 times negative 2x. Okay, so that gives me a product of negative 18, and this gives me a product of positive 6, but this product needs x on it because there was an x in one of the factors. So you can come over here and just write negative 18 plus 6x. Always put a plus between them. Now you want to cross out the parentheses and the number that was outside. Okay, cross those things out. Now before the equals, you have to add that first 3x in there. So plus 3x, and then you can write equals 27. Okay, now the parentheses is eliminated. So again, just rainbow, rainbow. And remember, you always put a plus between those. You can't actually add them, so you write them over here, cross it out. Plus that, and 27. Okay, you can only have a solo x. Well, that's a problem here because there are two x's, a 6x and a 3x. Now, they appear to me they're on the same side of the equation, so we're just going to draw the adding pyramid. So 6 plus 3 is 9x. Cross those out. Now, before you write equals, you got to remember that there's a negative 18 we have to add, and then equals 27. Now, dot your x term and circle it. And we have this on step 5, we have a negative 18, so add 18. So 9.x equals 27 plus 18 is 45. And then divide both sides by the number that's multiplied by the x. And that's 5. So x equals 5. Okay, the next one's 10x plus 18 equals 8x plus 4. Now, all letters need numbers attached to the front, and the x has a 10, and the x here has an 8, so that's good. Now, do you have any minuses? Well, between 10 and 18, you don't. Then the equals, and then between, okay, so I don't have any things I need to go plus negative on. Okay, any parentheses in there? Nope, not this time. Can only have a solo x. So I have two x's though. But this time they are not on the same side, so I can't make my adding pyramid. They're on opposite sides of the equals. So I need to switch the one on the right to its opposite. So by opposite, I mean that means add or subtract. So the 8x that I see right there is positive. I'll put a little positive. So the opposite would be minus. So I would want a minus 8x. And then we have to subtract 8x on the other side, but it's got to be from the x that's over there. So it'd be the 10x. So 10x minus 8x is 2x. And then remember, I got to write plus 18. And then the equals, and then 4. Okay, then I dot my solo x. It means 2 times x, but I have to undo the plus 18. Now, 18 is positive this time, so I want to subtract it. If it's a negative that's being added, you plus it. But if it's, you want to subtract that. So 2 dot x equals, and then 4 minus 18 is negative 14. Okay, and then you can just go ahead and divide. Okay, so that's going to be negative 7. Okay, and then last but not least, you have fractions. Now remember, you want to make sure you have matching fractions, which we do, and we want to solve for that x. So I want to circle the diagonal where the x isn't, okay? And all I'm going to do is multiply 56 times 2 and then divide by the other number. Now, this is unknown, so I divide by the other number outside of there, the 16. Cross multiply and divide. So I'm going to take 56 times 2 divided by 16. I get 7. Okay, that's all I have to say on that. Hopefully that sheet will help. And